way. Here's Aristides, who is the translator. I have millions of examples of Aristides, who always wants to make sure that everybody makes sense of what the teacher is saying. So one day the teacher is looking at Irene, who doesn't speak any English, and she's going, "I'm getting angry at you." And Aristides can't help it anymore. He gets up and he said, "Que tienes que escuchar a la maestra, Irene." That you have to listen to the teacher, Irene. So, I mean, he's constantly doing this. And what happens as a result, notice that this is the first month of school, right? School may be like 2 weeks into it. It's the 28th of September. Right? So this happens constantly. Another day, teacher says, "Sit up," and Aristides says to, with great authority, is "siéntate arriba," which of course those of you who know Spanish know that it's a real literal translation of "sit up," because in Spanish we say "sit," so we would just have said it's "siéntate," right? But this translanguaging to make sense of what the teacher is saying is what is happening all the time when you sit from the children's perspective. That is, not from the authorities that tell the teachers what to do, but when you sit from the bottom up, from the children's perspective and the teacher's perspective, despite the fact they tell you they do one language or the other, what happens is that there's a lot of translanguaging going on to make sure they make sense of what's happening. Here's the other class. This is a Spanish class, right? And as you see, this is, oh, maybe it doesn't show, but this is probably late September or early October, and like probably here too, they do pumpkins this time of year. And this is also almost Thanksgiving, so they're doing pumpkins, and they're counting pumpkin seeds. And Germán, who by the way also speaks Arabic at home, because something else that happens is in these two-way bilingual classrooms is that you have a lot of the children who are supposed to be English speakers, who are supposed to come from homes where English is spoken, come from homes in which other languages are spoken, right? And the parents very much want them to pick up Spanish because they have realized what the government never realizes, which is that if you live in New York where 1 out of 4 people speak Spanish, Spanish is a good language, especially if you're a brown person. So Arabic speakers, Urdu speakers, Hindi speakers, African Americans also, because they live in the same communities. There are a lot of interest in these two-way bilingual programs. So he says, I have 25. He's learned the numbers, 25. Y, he says, I need dos más, right? He has, you know. And supposed to be doing the Spanish, no. And then he says, tres, look. And he counts to 25 in Spanish. He goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then he says, oh, I only have 23 now. So he's lost 2, right? And he repeats to himself, 25. And then he says again, I need dos. The point is, he doesn't know the word for need, so he keeps saying, you know, I need dos. And Rosaura, who's sitting next to him, says, necesitas una. Toma ese, yo tiene una más, se cayó. Now, Rosaura is a child, again, of a mixed marriage, right? Her mother speaks, her mother is an American, speaks English only. Her father is Mexican. She goes back to see grandparents in Mexico every summer. She speaks enough Spanish. It's not perfect, but it's enough. But she's got the necesitas at least. And he then again replies with necesita una más. So he has picked up this language. He is using this language again because he has been able to translanguage. So this is part of the sense making in this classroom. And you can just imagine what happens when the children play. And I'll just give you one example. And this is one day in which they're in the block area, and Adam, Carlos, and Isaac are playing. Adam speaks English only. And Adam is not playing. Adam is out. It's Carlos and Isaac who are playing, and they've been playing in Spanish. They've been playing with the blocks in Spanish. And Adam wants to play. So he right away, he comes in and he says, "Are you done?" You know, big bully, right? "Are you done?" And Carlos, who speaks basically only Spanish, really starts to walk away, and he responds with whatever English he has, "Yes, I'm done." But Isaac, who is, again, you know, it's one of these kids who is the one who is the communicator, is the one who is always a peacemaker, he then says to Adam, "Adam, do you want to play with us?" And he then turns to Carlos and says, "Ben, Carlos, stay here," right? So he's the one that brings them back, brings the two of them back. But what is amazing that day is that they start playing, and as they start playing, Isaac, who is a bilingual child, starts acting out all these different things that they're making with the blocks. And as he makes these things, he actually makes the noise and then says it both in English and in Spanish, making sure that through this sense-making mechanism, both children are included. So, you know, it's wonderful to watch what happens when you put children together and you allow them to use whatever language practices they have in order to make sense of teaching and learning.